I saw beyond the glow.
Every fall, it shows up again. Pumpkin spice in your coffee, your perfume, even your daily rituals. But this year, something's different. The flavor's stronger. The spice is hungry. Something weird is happening at the coffee shop I work at, and I think I might be in trouble. I was walking to work this morning and I saw one of our regulars get hit by a bus. Mrs. Chen. She always ordered a large pumpkin spice latte, extra foam, and she just stepped off the curb without even looking at traffic. The bus couldn't stop in time and she went down on the pavement, hard. The really weird thing is, she didn't bleed. She just kind of broke open, like a pumpkin, like a jack-o'-lantern somebody smashed on November 1st. Her torso cracked open along these clean lines, like there were grooves pre-cut or something, and all this stringy orange pulp just spilled out onto the street. Seeds scattered across the sidewalk. It was just bizarre. The smell was overwhelming, sweet and earthy and just wrong. Maybe my brain just substituted that because it couldn't deal with the actual reality of somebody getting hit by a bus, but it looked real. 2 other customers from the coffee shop were there, and they stopped and just kind of stared for a while. They didn't scream. Nobody called 911. They just stood there, breathing in that earthy, spicy smell with these hungry expressions. Okay, I know this all sounds insane. Let me back up. I need to write this down anyway before whatever's happening gets a chance to finish. I got hired at Gourmand Grinds 3 weeks ago. Gourmand Grinds, that's such a weird name. I mean, I know technically it isn't gourmand, it's a fancy word, but it just sounds weird to me. Anyway, they hired me just for basic counter stuff. Smile, ring up orders, and don't touch the espresso machine until we've taught you our methods. And my manager, Lark, was super clear about one big rule. Never go in the kitchen until after you're trained. OSHA violations, she said, and there's spiders in there, and lawsuits. The problem started when they launched the PSE latte. PSE meant pumpkin spice everything. The chalk art on our street board had this jack-o'-lantern. It seemed to follow you with its eyes. Cute, right? Ugh. First day, we put it on the menu, and we had a line out the door, within an hour. Some people were ordering 2 at a time. This one woman came in with a punch card that was completely punched out and claimed the app gave me infinite rewards. That didn't even make sense. She was shaking. Her toddler was chewing on a rubber pumpkin toy like it was food. But here's the thing. Customers who drank the PSE special, they kind of started acting off. They'd sit there and stare into their cups instead of checking their phones. I watched this one guy finish his drink. He almost looked like he wanted to bite the paper cup, and I was afraid he was going to actually eat it. I told myself it was just fall obsession. People get weird about seasonal stuff, right? The sun starts going away. People go kind of crazy. But then one day, that kitchen door, the one I wasn't supposed to go into, it started being left cracked open just a little bit. And the sound coming from in there, it wasn't normal kitchen noise. It was like grinding. But also kind of wet. And the smell coming out of there was wrong. Sweet and damp and green. It was more like a greenhouse than a coffeehouse kitchen. Red flags everywhere, but I needed this job. Yesterday I screwed up. A customer sent back their pumpkin spice everything special for being too cold. The senior barista who was at the counter, they handed it to me to get rid of, and they went in the back room. I don't know how it could be too cold when there was still steam rising off of it. The foam had this faint orange color, not quite a glow, but it made you think of one. And I took a sip. I know that I shouldn't have. Germs and regulations and everything, but it smelled so good, and I was curious. I'd been selling so many of these things, and I'd never actually tasted one, and God, it tasted like every good memory I've ever had about fall. Like the perfect sweater. Like coming home for a holiday meal. For about 30 seconds, I felt amazing. And then it started to shift. The taste didn't fade exactly, it spread. I felt it coating my mouth, sliding down my throat. My teeth felt smooth, almost like ceramic. I kept running my tongue over them, and they felt glazed. That was yesterday afternoon, And the taste is still there. It's not going away. And I can't wash the smell off my hands. They smell like sugar and planting soil no matter how much I scrub. And when I breathe out, it's sweet. When I smile at customers, they lean toward me like plants tracking sunlight. And today, a teenage kid collapsed in front of the pastry case. He just folded up like a broken mannequin. Lark and the other barista on shift, they carried him into the kitchen like it was totally normal. When his sleeve slipped up, I saw these faint grooves on his wrist, like ridges on a pumpkin, or maybe like cut lines, like someone had drawn with an invisible marker where to slice. "Break's over," Lark told me, like a customer hadn't just passed out. And that's when I finally worked up the courage to look through that gap in the kitchen door. And it's not a kitchen. At least not what you would expect to be in a kitchen. There are vines hanging from hooks. There are pumpkins stacked everywhere, but they're not normal pumpkins like you'd see at the grocery store. The shapes are wrong, ribbed and pointed and just weird. On a metal table in the middle of the room, there was this pile of stringy orange stuff, and I can't swear that it was moving, but it felt like it was moving. Pulsing, like it had a heartbeat. Maybe that was just in my head, but anyway. I saw one of the cooks who usually came in and out through the front of the store. They were standing next to that table, wearing these elbow-length yellow rubber gloves, and they were feeding chunks of that, I don't know what it was, pumpkin pulp, into an industrial grinder, along with scoops of other stuff. I'm pretty sure I saw a scoop of cloves go in. But the worst part? There were 3 customers lying on tables in the back, unconscious, but honestly, they looked like pumpkins ready for carving. Their stomachs were bulging out. This one guy, who was already kind of heavy, he had his belt open to make room for how round he was getting. And while it was like they were asleep, maybe the weirdest thing was that they were smiling. Smiling in their sleep. And their teeth were... Their teeth were turning to that yellow-white ceramic look, kind of like mine were doing. When Lark caught me looking, she just said, "Nap time. It happens," like it was totally normal. I asked what was in that spice, and she smiled and said, "Everything." I asked about the kitchen, what was going on back there. She said, "That's for cooks. But we're a coffee shop. Well, we have cooks." Guys, I think I know what they're cooking. The taste in my mouth is getting stronger. And earlier, I caught myself in the bathroom mirror and my cheeks looked orange. Not like makeup orange, like when you tell somebody they're so healthy that they're glowing, but orange, not healthy. Almost like the glow you get from a lit jack-o'-lantern at night. I got back to work at the counter, but now when I dust the PSE orders with that special spice, I feel this tug in my chest, like something in me is reaching for it. A customer asked me earlier, "Is it true that it makes you happy?" And I said yes, before I could stop myself. And warm? Yeah. The kid then ordered 2 large PSE specials with a solemn nod like I told him a religious truth. I heard Lark and Evan talking about harvesting later. About maybe locking the doors early if the line dies down. The line's not going to die down. Word spreads fast when it's already in people's mouths, and they just keep coming. I should leave. I know I should walk out of the door right now and just never come back. But every time I think about it, that sweetness in my mouth gets stronger. And it's like I can almost hear my dad telling me I'm being overdramatic, that I'm overreacting, that this job is good for me. Like I belong here. That hollow feeling in my chest, when I first tasted it, it's not hollow anymore. Something's filling it up. Something warm and orange and patient. I keep touching my stomach without meaning to. It feels different, like it's hollowing out, getting harder, like space is being made. My shift ends in like 20 minutes, and Lark keeps looking at me with this gentle smile. The same smile she gave that kid before they carried him into the kitchen. The same smile Mrs. Chen had on her broken face this morning. I'm afraid of what's going to happen when I clock out. And the worst part is, I'm not sure I even want to run anymore. The sweetness is spreading through my thoughts like honey, making everything seem reasonable, natural, seasonal. Like maybe I was always meant to be part of the harvest. Maybe we all are. I'm gonna post this and then get out of here and, I guess, walk home. I'm probably making too much of it. If anybody has heard of anything like this, if I'm overreacting, please comment. I'll check back tonight if I can. And I guess if I don't, maybe I became part of the seasonal special. Update. Just clocked out. Lark asked if I wanted to see where the magic happens before I leave. The smell is incredible. I feel so hungry suddenly. I probably should go home, and, well, I should run. But maybe I'm just going to take a quick look first. Just to find out what's actually going on back there. I mean, it can't be that bad, right? What could it hurt? I didn't steal it. Oh, okay, maybe technically I stole it. But the bottle was just sitting there at Bargain Barn, wedged between clearance candles that smelled like autumn regret, and a Halloween vampire makeup kit that was somehow missing both the fangs and, not surprisingly, the fake blood. The label is straight and to the point. Pumpkin spice perfume. Limited run. Who knows how limited it actually was, but, companies like to put stuff on labels. The perfume bottle was shaped like a tiny pumpkin made out of orange glass. It was aggressively tacky, the kind of thing that your aunt who collects Precious Moments figurines would probably impulse buy. When I spritzed the sample card, the scent hit me like a drug. Sweet, spicy, warm, like being wrapped in childhood memories if they were all made out of plastic. My hands shook as I slipped it into my hoodie. I don't even know why I took it. The bottle felt warm against my ribs, almost alive. The security sensors didn't beep. It was almost like they didn't want to catch me. 2 light spritzes before school the next morning. Standard application. By the time I reached my locker, the hallway had gone dead quiet. Everyone staring with glazed, hungry expressions, like golden retrievers waiting for somebody to drop bacon. Geez, what perfume is that? Chloe pressed closer than she'd ever stood in 3 years of classes. Her pupils were huge. It smells like... She couldn't finish. She just kept breathing deeper, like she was trying to inhale my soul. By first period, I understood. This wasn't normal. When I walked into English, every head turned in my direction, in perfect synchronization. Mr. Benson froze mid-word on the whiteboard, nostrils flaring. "That scent," he whispered, tears running down his cheeks. "It's the first time I've felt anything in months." The class nodded in unison, 30 students agreeing with their teacher, which has never probably happened in the entire history of public education. Something was very, very wrong. By lunch, the scent was somehow getting stronger instead of fading. I could almost see it shimmering in the air around me. A group of kids circled my table, not talking, not eating, just breathing. When I tried to leave, they moved with me, maintaining formation like devoted, slightly concerning electrons. I scrubbed my neck raw in the bathroom, and the scent wouldn't budge. It seemed to get stronger, like it was seeping from every pore in my body. Like my body was a perfume diffuser, cranked up to maximum. Sarah from chemistry stumbled in, pale and shaky. I was supposed to take SATs today. I forgot. I just forgot everything. She pressed her face to my shoulder. "Please, I feel so empty when you're not around." And that's when I realized the horrible truth. I kinda liked this. The hunger hit during 6th period, not for food, for them, for their desperate need, for their complete devotion. The bottle was in my backpack, less liquid inside now, even though I'd only used it once. "Don't," my rational brain whispered. "This is obviously not normal. It's obviously a bad thing." But my hands were already moving. 2 more pumps. Every person in the classroom gasped in unison. Mrs. Patterson dropped her chalk. Marcus started weeping. Not sad tears, but like emotionally overwhelmed ones. Like somebody seeing something too beautiful to process. "I need to be closer," someone whispered. They all stood, chairs scraped as they moved towards me, like sleepwalkers. I should have run, but instead I stood on my desk. "Look at me," I heard myself say. 30 pairs of eyes locked onto me, their attention poured into me like warm honey. I felt like I was glowing now, literally glowing with soft orange light. "Breathe me in." And they did. So deeply that some of them staggered, and with every breath, they looked thinner, grayer, something essential siphoning out of them and into me. The door burst open. Principal Hayes, teachers, students, even the crossing guard who'd abandoned her post apparently, had all been drawn by the scent. More people poured in. The room packed tight, everyone pressing closer. Somebody touched my ankle, then my leg. Reverent touches, like I was a religious statue. The crowd just kept inhaling and then breathing out. Over and over, it was like a prayer. I looked down at them, my congregation, my addicts, my food, and I smiled. The bottle in my hand was completely empty. When I woke up, I was alone on the classroom floor. The building was empty, silent. The parking lot full of abandoned cars, doors hanging open, backpacks scattered. A shoe here, a jacket there. Like people had just disappeared. My reflection in the glass made me scream. Luminous skin, eyes solid gold, glowing gold with no pupils. When I opened my mouth, orange light spilled forth. I looked amazing. I looked terrifying. And I looked hungry. I'm posting this from the empty school. Sun setting. I can hear cars in the distance. People coming home from their normal lives. They don't know about me yet. They don't know what I've become. But they will. I can make more perfume now. I understand that. The bottle, I don't know where it came from, but it was just the seed. I'm the tree now. When I breathe out, the air shimmers orange. Reality shimmers orange. When I walk, flowers bloom and wither in seconds. I'm so hungry. But it won't be for long. If you're reading this, don't come looking for the missing people from Jefferson High. They're still here, in a way. They're part of me now. And if you catch yourself breathing deeper after you read this, if the air smells like cinnamon and nutmeg and something sweeter than candy, well, I'll be with you soon. Just don't say I didn't warn you. I know nobody's gonna believe me. I wouldn't believe me. But if anybody here lives near Miller's Pumpkin Patch, do not go there during the full moon. Don't go if somebody dares you, and don't go if you think it'll make good TikTok. Especially not if you're chasing views with that idiotic hashtag SpiceHarvest challenge. Let me be clear about something first. I'm a witch. A real one. Not some witchcore poser that bought a spellbook at Hot Topic and thinks that burning sage makes them mystical. And not one of those insufferable kitchen witch influencers who's casting manifestation spells over their pumpkin spice lattes for Instagram clicks. I've studied the craft for years. My grandmother taught me. And she knew things that would make your suburban Wiccan book club wet themselves. She left me her book of shadows when she passed, and I've memorized every page, every sigil, every warning. I know the difference between cinnamon for energy and cinnamon for protection, and I can tell you exactly why you never grind nutmeg after dark. I understand the weight of real power, and I respect it. So, yeah, okay, maybe I've been a little bit harsh about the cozy witch girls at school, the ones that wear pink pentagrams from Claire's and know absolutely nothing about actual witchcraft. But they treat the craft like it's a filter that can turn on and off for likes, and they make us all look like jokes. One of them, Kendra, she went viral yesterday with a video where she charged her Starbucks latte by leaving it on a windowsill under the moon. Hundreds of comments gushing about how she was the autumn queen. Tens of thousands of views. In one day. It made me sick. I left a comment. That's not real witchcraft. If you want the real pumpkin spice, meet me at Miller's Patch at midnight. I meant it as a challenge, a way to expose her for the fraud she was. Maybe even scare her enough that she'd stop playing dress-up with forces that she didn't understand. She DM'd me 15 minutes later. I'm in. I should have known then, that eagerness, that confidence, but I was arrogant. I thought I was the one setting the trap. The moon was full and cold overhead. bleaching everything bone white. Kendra showed up in a chunky knit sweater covered with cute, smiley pumpkins, and she carried a pumpkin-scented Bath & Body Works bag. When she saw me, she actually giggled. "You actually came," she said, pulling out her phone. "This is going to be so good for my feed." I wanted to leave right then, and I should have. But I'd issued the challenge and I had to follow through. I explained the ritual with as much gravity as I could muster. Carve a pumpkin you cut from the vine yourself. Grind the seeds into powder. And then, adding some ingredients and speaking some words that I'm not going to write down here, you sprinkle it all at the feet of a scarecrow near the center of the pumpkin patch. Simple, traditional, dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. Kendra nodded along, filming everything. Love this. #authentic witch vibes. I wanted to slap the phone out of her hand. We each selected a pumpkin. Mine was small and greenish, unripe, the way it should be for this kind of working. Hers was perfect. Round and orange like something out of a cartoon. Of course it was. We found a spot where we could see a scarecrow, near what I guessed was the center of the field. I carved my pumpkin in silence, but Kendra narrated everything to her phone while she worked. I was already sick of that breathy, performative voice that so many influencers use. And then the smell hit me. Not the usual earthy sweetness of pumpkin. There was something sour underneath. Rot, like something left in the sun too long. I looked up. Kendra was still smiling, still filming, but something about her looked different. We ground the seeds with mortar and pestle. Her hands moved with practiced precision. Too practiced, like she'd done this 100 times before. When we reached the scarecrow, everything changed. You've probably seen Miller's Scarecrow, if you're local. Everyone has. Stuffed with straw, wearing ancient denim overalls, a burlap sack pulled over its head. It, or something like it, has been standing in that patch since before anyone can remember. It felt like it had been there since before the farm. But up close, it looked wrong. The eyes weren't buttons sewn on like the cute pictures you see. The eyes were holes. Dark, empty holes that seemed to pull at my vision, like they wanted to suck the light out of the world. The burlap sack, it bulged and almost writhed, like something alive, just barely alive, was trapped inside, desperately wanting to escape. The straw at its feet was dark, stained. "Okay, ready?" Kendra's voice had dropped an octave. All the girlish fakey performance was bleeding out of it. We both sprinkled our powder. The wind died instantly. The corn husks stopped their constant rattling, and the moon seemed to swell, pressing down on us with physical weight. And that's when I heard it. A wet, tearing sound from inside the scarecrow's head. Like fabric ripping. Like skin splitting. The scarecrow moved. Not a lunge, not a grab, just a lurch, like something was hatching inside the burlap sack. The head turned a fraction of an inch, and it sounded like bones were grinding against each other, like the sound of a neck that has been broken and reset wrong. Kendra laughed. "Did you see?" Another scarecrow was standing 2 rows over now. I swear on my grandmother's grave it hadn't been there 30 seconds ago. And then another. And another. Everywhere I looked, new shapes stood between the pumpkins. Ragged clothes hanging on frames that couldn't possibly support a human body. Some had arms that were too long, fingers that dragged through the dirt. Others had heads tilted at angles that would snap a living spine. All of them were leaning towards us, like they were waiting. I grabbed Kendra's arm. Her skin felt wrong, cold, like touching meat pulled out of the refrigerator. "We need to leave, now." But she didn't move. She was still staring at her phone, still wearing that wrong smile. "The algorithm is going to eat this up," she whispered. Her reflection in the phone screen looked back at me. Her eyes looked black. I was going to pull at her arm, drag her along with me. I didn't like her, but I didn't want her to get eaten by whatever this was. But she turned to glance at me, and the cold emptiness in those eyes, together with the coldness of her skin, it was too much. I let go and I pulled back. The scarecrows seemed to be closing in. They didn't walk, they just appeared closer, like frames skipping in corrupted footage. One blink and they were 10 feet away. The next blink, 7. Then 3. I could hear their joints creaking, like a nest full of insects, shifting in unison. Kendra looked up slowly, and she didn't look scared. Her smile was wider than any human mouth should be able to open. Her teeth looked longer, sharper, like her gums had receded, showing too much root. "Pumpkin spice isn't just a flavor," she said. "It's a tradition. A contract." "What the hell are you talking about?" I asked, but I didn't really care about the answer. Her voice didn't sound like her anymore. It was deeper, ancient, like something speaking through a mouthful of grave dirt. I tried to back away, but my feet wouldn't move. I looked down and saw why. The thick, ropey vines had grown up through the soil, wrapping around my ankles. They pulsed like veins carrying blood, and I could feel them tightening. She held up her phone. The live stream showed me, not her, sprinkling the powder at the scarecrow's feet. "You invited yourself," she said. "Every year someone has to. Somebody arrogant. Someone who thinks they know better. My family's kept this harvest going for 7 generations." She reached up with both her hands and pulled at her face. The skin came away in strips, peeling like old wallpaper. Beneath it was something that, well, it looked like it had never been human. Her fingers had too many joints, too many angles. Her skin was the color of ripening pumpkin flesh. "The scarecrows need new stuffing," it said through Kendra's mouth. "And you're perfect. So sure of yourself. So full of righteous contempt." It smiled with her teeth. "That kind of bitterness, it ferments beautifully." I ran. The vines tore free from my ankles, leaving deep gouges that I could feel bleeding. I don't know how I made it out. I just remember fragments. The sound of dry leaves crunching behind me. Something else. Wet and slithering, like something awful being dragged through the mud. The smell of pumpkin spice followed me the whole way. But it was wrong. Sweet and spicy, but also rotten. Like nutmeg ground over an open grave. I looked back, just once. Kendra wasn't following. She was standing perfectly still in the moonlight, arms straight out from her sides, body rigid. But her head was at a really weird angle, like she was a broken doll. A scarecrow leaned close and pulled what looked like a fresh sack over her face. It fit perfectly, like it had been measured. Her legs didn't kick. Her arms didn't fight. She just stood there and let it happen. Like she'd done this before. Hundreds of times. I've been sitting here in my bathroom for 6 hours now, trying to scrub the smell off me. It's under my nails, in my hair, soaked into my skin at the cellular level. Every time I close my eyes, I see her face peeling away in wet strips. But here's what really scares me. I went to her Instagram, her TikTok, and everything is still active. New posts from tonight, during the ritual. Videos of her making pumpkin spice lattes, giggling about fall vibes and cozy season. Except in the newest videos, if you look closely enough, you can see the stitches around her hairline. Like new skin had been sewn on. Fresh skin. Someone else's skin. She wasn't joking. This is real. They've been hiding in plain sight for generations, wearing oversized sweaters and teaching us to hashtag their rituals. They've been hiding in plain sight for generations, looking like normal people. And now they're teaching us to hashtag their rituals, making it all seem harmless, like a fad, Instagrammable. And now they're collecting their harvest, one viral video at a time. I think she wanted me to escape, not out of mercy or some shred of humanity, but to spread the word, to bait the trap for the next victim, to keep the algorithm fed. Because I just checked the comments on this post, and 43 people have already asked for the location. If you're reading this, don't do this challenge. Don't go to the pumpkin patch. Don't film your pumpkin spice content under a full moon. The scarecrows are already waiting, and the harvest is never over. It's just looking for new skin to wear. Edit. Stop asking for directions to the farm. I'm not giving them to you. Are you all actually insane? Edit 2. To whoever keeps DMing me calling this creative writing, check Kendra's latest TikTok, the one she posted 30 minutes ago. Look at her eyes in the reflection of the coffee shop window behind her. They're still black. Like all the way black. Edit 3. I'm deleting this account. There's too many of you asking. Too many who want to investigate, and that's exactly what they want. Can't you see that? This is how they feed. Edit 4. Fine, you want proof? You want to see it for yourselves? Miller's Pumpkin Patch, Route 47. Half a mile past the church with a collapsed steeple. Half a mile past that old church that looks abandoned. Go ahead. Film your content. Chase your views. Prove me wrong. But when you're standing there at midnight with your phone out, and the scarecrows start appearing between the vines, remember, you invited yourself. And the harvest doesn't care how many followers you have. It only cares that you're ripe. Sometimes, when I can't sleep at night,
these are the stories that I find.